Great. Now sharing the presentation. Here it is. Okay. Okay. So I've made a couple of changes, as I've said, so I hope you like it. So today let's focus on growing on Twitter. Okay. So first of all, let's just a quick recap on our previous lesson. Here I'll be as fast as possible because I really don't want to dedicate much time. But just to focus on the fact that we saw how to grow from 0 to 1,000 followers. Okay, and the homework was for you to come up with your own bio and banner. So to start positioning and thinking about your own positioning, positioning about your Twitter account. So some of the basics that we have covered was to find a good Twitter name, to choose a good Twitter handle, because it will allow you to have a more approachable and easy way to be mentioned in the future. To find a good profile picture if you want to build your own personal brand, if it is not a pseudonymous account. And so I gave my own example. Use a clean picture, remove the background, compel a professional or personal look according to the type of audience you are targeting. Also about your profile banner. So once again, as I've mentioned, this is like the user interface. So just having a cool CTA is, as I think, a good way to have it. But as Sonia have mentioned also, participants can now see your application. Okay, can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know what happened then. Okay, so profile banner, I think that having a cool CTA is a good way to go, but Sonia also raised the issue that sometimes it may be that people just want to convert follows or followers. And so, yes, I can understand that. So it's a matter of you trying different things. Regarding your profile banner bio, which was the homework, it was for you to come up with something that was actionable, have some credibility factor, and state how you can help or the type of value you can create for the people who you want to target. Okay, and so the idea was for you to get back to the first homework and to see some of the things that we had discussed earlier. So regarding the profile bio, make it actionable, answer the why, show some credibility factor is like, what do you do for a living that allow people to trust you, and also say how you will be here to help people or the type of value that you are going to create. Also, you can always use finite goals or use metrics like different people use, for example, public goals, like I want to reach $1 million by year end, and they share their journey to hit the goal in public. Okay, this was a final example of mine. And so after that, we saw some ways on how to create value. So build in public, reach goals in public, document your journey, share advice to your past self under your specific niche, as we have mentioned before, curate the best resources, people, channels, blogs, tools, whatever in your niche, and share what you learn while you are learning. Okay, so you can either share your learning journey in public, or instead, like this week, I've learned this and that, and you can write a thread on that. Or instead, just sharing things like, since I've started building my company, these and that are key things that I've learned so far. Tweet daily, because if you tweet daily, you will become more consistent, and algorithms, people also loves consistent things. So I used to publish 3 to 5 tweets a day from my account, and also by engaging with other people. But remember, it has always to bring value. Okay, so sheet posting, and unless you are a sheet posting account or you are trying to build a meme account, focus on bringing value. Being consistent once again. So this is all about building the right systems. Okay, so next week, I'll bring you some ideas on how you can build your own system. I use Notion for that particularly. I use Notion and notes on my phone and other apps. I think it will be easier to show you all. And also I set some alarms every single day to remember myself to go on Twitter to engage with people. And so these are some things that I'll keep bringing you. Yes, Farouk.
I was wondering whether you can also share some of the statistics next week about the
It will
successful.
be, yeah, don't worry, Farouk. Okay. Let's keep moving and you'll see what is today's lesson. Okay.
Got it.
Great. So about being consistent, that's it. This is me sharing, like, for 90 days, I've published every single day, just missing like 5 days or something like that. And yes, now I engage often, engage with 1 to 2 people on a daily basis. Why? Because if you are both consistent and use engagement on a 100-day period, you will have reached 100 to 200 people at least. So these people, they will start to orbitate around what you do, what you create about, whatever, and they will become your distribution channel. Yes, so in terms of engagement, please don't do things like thanks or that's fire, bro, whatever. Instead, try to expand on what they have tweeted or give your opinion on what they are currently tweeting about, okay? This is how we actually build relationships and start conversations. So the best type of advice I can give you is actually to start a conversation. That's the best way to build engagement. Now, these are just a couple of hacks. So the first one is to turn on notifications under bigger accounts. So find some bigger accounts on your niche, turn on notifications under those, and you'll be able to jump on their content as the moment they publish something. And this is how you turn on notifications. Use DMs. So when you use DMs, I'll bring also more content on how to DM people. But when we use DMs, please don't send just a hand or a hey, hello, Bernie, and don't start with an ask. Instead, try to build some sort of, start with a conversation. And after you start with a conversation, you can ask for something the moment you start building some trust with that people, exactly as human relationships work. So Twitter is all things about networking in a very humane way. So that's the best kind of advice I can give you also. So today is about growing on Twitter. And regarding today's lesson, this was our initial syllabus, okay? So how to go from 1,000 to 10,000 followers, people to follow, the power of analytics, tools you must know, and some homework, okay? I've made some changes and those changes were these ones. So I am not going to talk about going from 1,000 to 10,000 followers because I think that I can bring that in next week. Instead, I want to jump directly into people to follow. Why? Because you must be able to identify signal over noise, okay? This is the first thing that I really want to be tactical about and give you some examples on how you can do it and actually help you do that, okay? After, I'll bring you content on the power of analytics, okay? So I'll bring here all the like my mindset and the framework I use in terms of analyzing if a thread is more or less is performing more or less according to what I want and all of that. And also some tools you must know or you should know and you should start using. Okay, so these two more or less are very important and I believe will create a ton of value for all of you. By the end, homework and then Q&A and feedback session, okay? So regarding the people to follow, what I really want you to see in this particular topic is that, as you know, Twitter is all things about sharing with us content that they find valuable, okay? And so the problem is that if we just look into our timeline, we go from news about like the war in Ukraine to things that we don't even care, like in the fashion industry, whatever, things that are trending in our country. And sometimes we find something actually valuable, okay? And this is like the journey for, I'd say 99% of the people on Twitter. And that's why most of us, we try to create content and it is very hard for us to break that noise, okay? Instead, what you should do is to protect your attention, okay? And how can you do that? So the first thing is to follow the right people. And here I can give you 6 names of people that I follow for a while. Like I follow Dickie Bush since he was like 50K, added since he had like Okay. Okay. Sorry, Farouk. I've muted you. I follow Adit, for example, since he had like 25K since last August, Makadia Harsh. So all of these, they are huge accounts and all of them have different niches. Like Dicky Bush is the guy to follow if you want to improve your writing skills. Adit Sheth is like a young boy that I really admire. He is like 20 years old. He's at college and he only tries to deconstruct some of the best performing people in the world, like the top 1%. So he brings us either insights on how they have became or how they became the persons they are, or instead like roundup threads, like the best threads on a particular topic. Okay. Makadia Harsh is the go-to person if you want to learn more about no-code tools, how to build systems with no-code tools, whatever. Hey Blake is, for example, so Blake Amel. He is a person who, for example, landed a job at Copy AI, which is a very good startup, just by building a Twitter audience. So he loves marketing. He started to create a bunch of content about marketing, focused mainly for startups. So how startups can leverage marketing and how they should do better marketing. And so Blake writes a ton of content on marketing, which allowed him to land a job at Copy AI as their CMO. Okay, Blake Burge is a guy who shares things about his curiosity. He's perhaps one of the hardest people to define here because he either shares a thread on like tips and hacks on how to better use Google Sheets, and like the week after he will be sharing something that has nothing to do, but whatever, he has a ton of good content. His threads are very good, very on point, always viral. He's very good on what he has been doing. And Sahil Bloom is a guy who I've met at 200K, and in 1 year he went from 200K to 600K. Okay, Sahil Bloom is like, just like me, an old corporate person, old corporate law, a corporate person. He came from corporate. He used to work in investment or something like that, like Morgan Stanley, something like that, very corporate. While I was at Deloitte, but in tech and digital products, he had nothing to do with that. And so he jumped to Twitter and he started to create threads deconstructing complex topics on finance. And so suddenly he started to grow a ton, and he grew like crazy until 100K, and then until 200K, which was when I first met him the last September. And right now, like 6 months after, or nine months after, he is at 600K. Sahil, he writes about like very interesting topics, like, for example, when the EU was threatening Russia with the SWIFT canceling, he wrote a very good thread on what is the SWIFT thing and how powerful it is in terms of a menace for a country like Russia. And he also brings a ton of content nowadays about mental models. Okay, so Sahil is the go-to person to learn about finance for businesses. He deconstructs businesses and also mental models. Okay, and so this is the moment that I will jump to TweetDeck, where I really want to share with you this thing called Twitter lists. Okay, and Twitter lists is one of the best ways for you to be on top of what these kind of people create content about. Okay, and why? Because Twitter list is like creating a bookmark section that you can either use on your cell phone, smartphone, whatever, as on TweetDeck. And I believe that most of you perhaps won't know or don't know what TweetDeck is, but I'll share with you in a couple of seconds. And building Twitter list is very awesome because you'll be able to like jump from Twitter list to Twitter list, and see multiple people under different topics that you can build according to what you want. Like you can have a Twitter list just about productivity, and then you add on that list all the people under productivity topic, another one for example, Web3, and you start adding a bunch of people about Web3. And that's the best way for you to jump from topic to topic and make sure that it doesn't become a huge noise on your timeline. Okay, so let me now just share. Yeah, let me just share this with you. Wait a second. Yeah, so this should, okay. So regarding TweetDeck, so TweetDeck is this thing, okay? For those of you who have no idea of what TweetDeck is, it's awesome, okay? Why? Because this is like most of the time, wait a second, okay. So, okay. If I jump to my Twitter, what you will see is this, okay? So this is the current timeline. As you can see, I have here things from Bloomberg. I have things from Disneyland Paris, whatever, okay? Yeah, and I have a bunch of people, whatever. But Twitter lists, they are awesome because they allow you, for example, you can find them here on more, you click on lists, and under your list, you can find a bunch of things that I have according to certain topics, okay? For example, if I jump into this one, Crypto Alpha, this is a list that I've started to follow. It has 383 members, 78 members, followers and members, okay? Members are the people that have been added to these lists, okay? And so when I jump to these lists, all the things that I will see is a list of the best thinkers in the space of DeFi, DAOs, and NFTs, okay? And so I can just click on these lists, and now this is my timeline. And the timeline here is about all these 78 members, okay? Which are people I may follow or I may not follow, okay? But the thing is that their content is here and I can avoid a bunch of noise that the timeline on Twitter would suggest me, okay? I can give you another example. For example, a couple of seconds ago, I saw that, I think, yeah, so Bastian created a list. Where is it? Yeah, so Bastian created a list for the 60 days challenge that I've created a couple of days ago. And so Bastian, he created this list. He added 7 members, and these members are the people who said they wanted or they were willing to start this journey of doubling their following account for during the next 60 days. And I can just follow these lists and I will find everybody's content here. So I don't need to be always remembering these people. I can just add more people to the list and it will allow me to find their content and I'll be able to jump into their content over the next couple of days. Yes, Sonia.
Do you confirm that any list is public?
No, not every list is public. Private? Yeah, and that's something that I love. And this is how I am going to teach you now how to create a list, okay? So when you come here, add a column, and when you create a column, yeah, so first of all, what is TweetDeck? So TweetDeck is a different way to use Twitter, okay? There are a couple of things that I love. There are others that I hate. For example, I love the fact that when it comes to messages, I don't have, like if I come here and I go to messages, I have here all the people that I follow or they follow me, people that are allowed to send me a DM, but here are message requests from people who don't follow me or I've never started to talk with them. And I have here a bunch of them. So I have almost no visibility about these DMs. And so I I lose a bunch of conversations with people trying to reach out to me. And so here on TweetDeck, that thing doesn't happen. All the messages here tend to be also the other type of messages. And the cool thing is that you can do this like a Kanban board, okay? So here you can find is the home, and the home is like when I jump into Twitter, this is it, this is the home, okay? So this is the home, this is me. So these are like notifications where I am mentioned or people talk to me. This is another type of notification. So here I am mentioned or things of mine, and here are just things that other people also have and are interacting with me. Here are DMs. Here you can find like people who have been following me, and this is awesome, for example, for you to see that someone followed you. You can immediately click on their profile, you can DM them like, hey, thanks for following me, whatever, okay? And this is the same search bar as you can find on Twitter also, okay? This is, for example, one list that I used to follow, okay, the SHIP 30 cohort course from the October last. And so this was another list that that they at SHIP 30 created with all the people under this course, okay? So now regarding creating a new list, you can come here. So you click on add column, you create a list. You can here find your current lists, or instead you click here on create lists. Wait a second, let me just put this here. Okay, so you click here, sorry, the lists, you click here on create lists. Okay, now you can write something as the name of the list, like productivity creators. Okay, you can add a description if you see that it is helpful for you, and then you can make it public or private. Okay, when it is public, it allows other people to follow that list. Okay, when it is private, only you will have visibility of the list. Okay, so you click save, and now you have to add people. Okay, and so you have to find each one of these people that you want to bring here. And for example, I can bring this person. Okay, so Michael, Notion productivity. Okay, great, done. This is it. And now I have a new list. Yes.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay. And now you can see here that I have a new list where Michael is on that list. Okay, I can, for example, then come here, edit list, and I can bring more people. Okay, like for example, I can bring Sonia. What is your handler?
Oh, sorry, there was a noise. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, don't worry. Yes, but I can bring, for example, more people. Let's say I want to bring Vidya. I want to bring, for example, I don't know, Fenwire. I don't know. I have here Maha, for example. Okay, done. So I have now 4 people in this list. Okay, so if I now go to my Twitter, and if I refresh my Twitter, I'll find here on my lists, this list here. Okay, it must be here somewhere. Here it is. Okay, as you can see, it has a lock because it is private. It has 4 members. Okay, and yeah, here it is. Okay, and now I can follow all these people without the mess that is the typical timeline. And I can even, for example, pin this list here, and it is now pinned, what means that the next time that I go into my cell phone, my smartphone, I'll see here on top different lists that I can click, and it will be easier for me to find different content under the topics that I want to be closest to. Okay, so going back to our lesson once again, to our slides, let me know if you have any questions, either regarding the tweet deck or regarding building Twitter lists. And yes, regarding the people to follow, this was what I really wanted to share with you. So for you to make sure that you are able to separate noise from high signal. And why high signal? Because as a creator, you use social media not necessarily just to consume, but also to create content. And so first, you should be aware that the sources that you can consume should be as good as possible, because the better the sources of the content that you consume, the better you will be able to create content. Okay, they will help you to have better ideas, find different things that you could create content about, whatever they are, role models. Okay, on the other hand, as a content creator, the cool thing is that yes, you are now very conscious about the quality of the content of other people's work, and so you know that you don't want news, for example, or instead, if you want news, you can create a list just with some news or some politicians that you want to follow, or economics things, whatever, and you can find them under different lists, which will help you to leave the typical home or timeline, and to be more focused on the type of content you want, okay? So regarding the people to follow, this is what I really wanted to share with you. Now, on the power of analytics, and this is a very important topic. So analytics have, I bring here a thread of mine that I've written a couple of months ago, but I think that I said almost everything that I could say about Twitter analytics, okay, in this thread. So let me know if you want me to share with you, but I brought here a couple of different screenshots and I'll add some content on top of them. But basically, so Twitter analytics and analytics overall is what allows us to get feedback or understand the type of feedback more than just the comments and the likes, to actually understand, so how much people has my tweet reached, how many of them have interacted with my, yes, Farouk?
Can you put this thread on Discord? I want to follow that instead of searching for it.
Okay.
Mind? I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't worry, don't worry.
Or tweet about it or whatever.
Wait a second. Okay.
Sorry, I interrupted your flow, Barney.
Don't worry. Okay. Yes. So let's go once again. So the power of analytics, as I was mentioning, is that it allows us to understand the type of feedback that we get. Okay. Instead of having to go from comment to comment or trying to understand who liked what we have published or anything like that, we can now have a more analytical approach to what we have been doing, and we can now understand the type of some of the numbers that we have. Okay, so it allows us to improve our content, grow our audience as a result of improving our content, and for that we must master Twitter analytics. Okay, but first of all, where do I brought this? So most of my friends, even on Twitter, they use Twitter analytics, but most people that I know or that I have discussed Twitter analytics with, they're very weak in the way on how they use Twitter analytics, okay? And why? Perhaps because I have a consultant background and I used to have a bunch of KPIs and things to measure, perhaps because I'm very analytical, or perhaps because I use this approach, which is my framework, which is just, as I've mentioned before, I treat my content as product development or as a product. And so I use analytics to improve the type of content that I write about and to find new topics. And the framework that I use is the R, or instead the Pirates metric, okay? Pirates metrics. Yes, let me put here the Pirates metrics. I'll write here after. Right. Metrics, pirate metrics. Yeah, so pirate metrics is this framework here that most, I'd say most SaaS companies use across the startup industry, okay? And so the double A means acquisition and activation, and the 3 R's mean retention, referral, and revenue, okay? And most of the time, so this is a funnel, basically, as you can see. And so Twitter is here, but on Twitter, you can build the entire funnel, okay? In terms of how you use Twitter, you can take the entire funnel with you and build or rebuild an entire funnel from it, okay? And so let's see some examples on how I use the Pirate Metrics framework to my Twitter, okay? So the first thing is, okay, once again, set the foundations. Why do we need analytics? I think we all understand this already. And so the first thing that I always try to do when I write a thread is, what is the reader's journey here, okay? So what I know already is that the reader, the person who finds my thread, is someone who reads. He may or may not click on my profile, and to me this is already an acquisition. He may or may not enjoy my profile, and that's why having a good banner, a bio, all of that helps to convert more people. He may or may not click to follow, and then he may or may not start interacting more with my content, which means by retweeting, quote tweeting, mentioning me, or even DMs. Okay, this is to me like the highest point of conversion, is the equivalent here of revenue, is the DMs. Okay, and so let's now break down these. So the first thing is, when you write something, you will have a small graph. Let me share with you an example of that. So once again, if I come here, you may see here on my, for example, this one. So the moment you share a thread, perhaps I'd say 6 hours after or 12 hours after, you'll see this thing here, okay? And if you click here, you'll see a couple of things, okay? So the number of impressions, so this thread reached 645K people, okay? 301K engaged with it. A bunch of them clicked to expand the detail, which means that they have they have read the entire thread. A ton of people jumped into my Twitter, or my profile, okay? And I don't know what the hell is this number, but I got something like 1.2K followers. So this isn't right, okay? What I don't know is how they track the new follower from a thread, but this is very weird. But until here, most of the times the numbers are pretty accurate, and you can build the entire funnel, and the number of new followers you just calculate according to the difference from what you had and what you have after the thread, okay? And the cool thing about, for example, threads is that now I can see not only this is like the global perspective or an overview of the entire thread, but I have this small thing here on each one of the tweets. And so I can see how much people, for example, have gone until the last one, like until this one here, and see, okay, so from the, I don't know how much people who got this thread, this is the number of people who got to the final, to the last one. Okay, so this is now the amount of people who I could convert, for example, to my newsletter. Okay, is like from almost 7K impressions, only 156 engaged with this tweet, and I got some subscribers from that engagement. Okay, so this, I can now start building this funnel. Okay, now I can see, for example, okay, how many people reached this one and how many people reached this one. Okay, and here I can now see that I got 8K people reaching this one last, and why, I'll jump into it in a moment. And I got 134 engagements. Okay, why is there a bigger number of people on the last one? Why is there a bigger number of people here than here? Because most of the times when you share a thread, some threads may be published just with this one. Okay, so sometimes people will start by seeing your thread with the last one. For example, if they jump into my profile, things like those. I don't know why, but this is a treated thing. Okay, and so getting back to where I was. So regarding the Twitter analytics, the first thing is impressions, okay? And so impressions to me is the top of the funnel, okay? If we get back here, impressions are immediately here, like is the first step of acquisitions. Is if there are 1 million people right now reading content on Twitter, how many of them can I make them stop to read my thread? Okay, and that, like, converting more or less people or reaching more or less people depends not only just about the hook, but also other factors like retweets, likes, and whatever. Okay, so you have not that much control over impressions or overall reach, but yes, this is how I see. So Impressions is like this first level of acquisition, okay? And as I say, is like user reads your content equals impressions and equals the top of the funnel. So you need to get people to read your content. Goal, increase your impressions. How? Tweet consistently, create valuable content for free, okay? And for example, here I was sending people to a thread of mine where I had shared 5 frameworks to start using to create better content, okay? The second stop is the second way of acquisition funnel, okay? The second one is when people click to see our profile, okay? So we have a certain number of people reading our thread, but not everyone will click on our profile, and not everyone that clicks on our profile will convert into followers and whatever, okay? So we have a certain number of impressions, and then we have a certain number of profile clicks, okay? These profile clicks to me is the final acquisition rate, okay, which is the final acquisition, whatever, okay? So the goal is to increase profile clicks, and how you can use multiple ways. For example, you can put a tweet between the thread saying, hey, by the way, if you are enjoying this thread, you can follow me here, okay? What is the problem with that approach is that you will be breaking the rationale of the thread. And so that's why most people, you either put your final CTA, which is the thing that you want people to convert into, you either put your CTA on top of your thread or at the bottom of your thread, okay? And by the way, I prefer to put them on the bottom because that means that the probability of me converting the people that read the entire thread is higher, because that means that if they have read the entire thread, then that's because they have liked the thread, okay? And so it means that they are already my audience or already my targeted audience, okay? But this is how I think. So with this one, profile clicks, we are now here on the second step of acquisition funnel, okay? And now this is where everything starts. So user reviews your profile. This is the same as someone landed on your landing page, and this is how I tend to see. So my profile is like my landing page, where my profile picture equals the founder or founding team, like the about. When you go into a landing page and you have the about, is like the profile picture. The pin tweet is like the product description or the unique selling proposition, okay? The pin tweet is like, this is our best performing thing. This is my best performing act, okay? And this is how many people have liked or retweeted my best act, okay? And that's why, for example, if you jump into my Twitter account, you will see that I have the What the Fuck is Web3 series pinned on top of my profile, okay? The banner to me is like the user interface and a clear CTA, okay? So this is an older banner that I had, but it has exactly the same function nowadays, okay? The tone for me is like the culture, okay? The culture of a company, the values and the beliefs. So when we talk about Nike or Apple or Airbnb, we all can identify very quickly which is which. And here with the tone, like if I have emojis, what do they mean? But if I have emojis, if I have like, hey, Bernie.xyz, most people on Web3 already like reason with me, because we know what XYZ means. It means that everything on .com and all of that is already taken, and this is us like opening a new path, okay, into what may become the new mainstream domain, whatever, okay? Yes, so the tone to me is like the culture, the values, the beliefs, like how I treat people who approach me. And the bio is like my mission, okay? And here I bring once again the about page, because the about page, it can, most of the times it's a mix of both, like the founding team and the founder and the mission. So the mission, the credibility and actionable fact, as we have already discussed, okay? So how to increase the people who may click to follow you just by landing on your profile is by having a good picture, writing a good bio, pin your best performing tweet, and make sure that you check all these small boxes, okay? Now, and so when people land on our profile, we are now here on the first activation, okay? On activation, like we are activating this person into them for them to do something, okay? Then the next is the user who follows you, okay? So when someone follows you, that means that like it means that they liked our content, they liked our positioning, they understood our positioning and the kind of value that we create and what we are bringing to the table, and now they are willing to follow us, okay? But when it comes to followers, they can either be ghost followers, like people who just follow you, but you never hear from them. And that's like 99% of the people. Or they can either be people who follow you and start interacting with your content, okay? So now that your reader clicked to follow you, make sure he starts to engage with you and your content, okay? And this is where sometimes I send personalized DMs thanking someone for following me. And then I try to share with them some threads or some work that I've done that they may not be aware, okay? So the next step is analyzing the interaction, okay? So now we have someone who interacts with us, okay? And interacting with you and your content after following you is like retention. Is someone who wants to be known or who wants to get your attention, whatever, okay? So your new follower starts to interact with your content, comments or likes, some stuff you publish, okay? So the goal here is to build a genuine relationship, okay? So how do I do it? By being kind and generous, replying to every comment he, she makes, okay? But you can also use different ways to analyze the type of person that person is, okay? Like if we are talking about someone who only likes your content, you can say, as I used to use this framework, which is someone who only likes my content is someone that for me is on the free tier, okay? Like if I had a product, that person wouldn't buy my product, okay? They are on the free tier. If it is someone who likes and comments, or yes, let's assume someone who comments on my stuff, then we are now talking that they are on the lowest paying tier, okay? But if it is someone who is willing to retweeting or quote tweeting, then I presume that that person is already on some premium tier, okay? So that person deserves from me more attention than the one who just liked my content, okay? And if someone like retweet, quote tweet, liked, and or comment everything at once and ended up the interaction with sending me a DM, then damn, I know I must talk to this person because this person made a fit with what I am currently offering with my content, okay? So this is how I see it. And here it is. So retweets, quote tweets, and mentions to me is like referrals, okay? It's like people using the power of word of mouth to talk well about me, okay? Not every single quote tweet that I have is a good quote tweet, so not a testimonial or a referral, because I have a bunch of people sometimes that disagree with my point of view, who try to add something on top of what I said, who try to, for example, like correct me on something that I've said, whatever. But most quote tweets, retweets, and or mentions are people referring me to someone else, and that someone else is their audience, okay? Is like word of mouth, is very powerful. And so what I try to do is to reply to every single quote, tweet, and mention by being genuine, humble, and kind, okay? So like I have success because of them, not the opposite, okay? So these are people who are actually building your audience for you, okay? They are helping you. They are like a small army that you are creating, and they are like paving the way for you to keep growing. So treat them as well as you can, okay? People who DMs me, so once again, as I've mentioned, is someone who is willing to pay for something that I am currently doing. Most of the times, this is the case, okay? So people who DM me with, hey, Bernie, I love your content. This is something that I'd love to have or share with you, whatever. I'll try to help that person no matter what. Okay, if they ask for a Zoom call, I'll try to schedule a Zoom call. Okay, and why? Because there is a higher probability of you converting that person into a fan or someone like a super fan, someone who actually loves the content that you do and now has some sort of a relationship, a personal relationship with you. And so this is a very, very, very powerful thing to have, is to have personal relationships in a digital world. They are very strong, okay? So, and how can you strengthen this relationship? How? By exploring topics you both like, once again, by being authentic, humble, genuine, kind. So never assume that someone, just because someone has a smaller audience, it doesn't mean that that person is stupid, okay? And this is a very arrogant approach that I see a bunch of people with big audiences, is that the more they grow, the less they answer, and the more arrogantly they try to answer, okay? And so what I always say, and I used to say a bunch of times, is that our follower count doesn't dictate the person who we are. And so I always try to remember that anytime someone DMs me or asks me something. Yes, so answer every DM. This is something that it will become harder and harder the moment you start growing, but you will start identifying the DMs that are worth your time. And on those DMs, always be authentic, humble, genuine, kind, okay? And now, how to improve the quality, the overall quality of the content you create. So interactions with your content equals to engagement per impression, okay? And engagement per impression, once again, if I go to Twitter, is something that you quickly can see here, okay? So if I jump here, you'll see here, okay, yeah, sorry, it is not here. Is on Twitter Analytics. So let me go to Twitter Analytics. And this is like the first time that I am showing it to you. And yes, I'll bring more slides on this in a couple of seconds, okay? So, but as you can see, you have here an engagement rate, okay? And this engagement rate is the engagement per impression, okay? Which means that if I have 31 engagements on 1K, 1.6K impressions, this is more or less the engagement rate that I have, okay? A good engagement rate is to always focus on bigger things, okay? So anything bigger than 3 to 5% of engagement rate is a very good engagement rate, okay? And why? Because once again, if I go back to the R dashboard, we know that having 2%, 2%, 1%, 1% is always at the bottom or the more realistic thing under each level, okay? And a rule of thumb in terms of what the industry operates with, like if you go to software on startups, most of the times the 1% is the rule of thumb, which means that everybody knows that if they want to have a new customer, they have to make at least 100 calls, okay? 100 calls for one customer, which means that 1% of the people that you engage with will convert into customers, okay? And so the higher the number here on Twitter Analytics and other platforms that I will show you and share with you, the higher the number, the best something is worth, okay? So see this one, for example. So I got 644K impressions and I got almost 32K engagements, which gave me 5% of engagement rate with this type of content. What do I know now is that I can create more content like this. And what type of content is this? This is under the type of framework where I share resources that can help other people solve their problems, okay? And so always focus on having at least 1 to 2 to 3% of engagement rate. And anytime you have something bigger than 3 to 5, those are the content types of pieces that you should focus on. Sonia.
I have some tweets, and I have very little followers, as you guys know. But some tweets have like amazing rates, but I feel like the sample is not representative. Of course, if you have like, I don't know, 14,000 impressions and then 9,000 engagements, it feels much more reliable as a number. If you have 50 of each, 50 and 20, of course, you feel like it's some reliable data anyway.
Yeah, so I'll give you some examples on how I used to see my analytics at the beginning of my journey. Okay, I'll share with you all my dashboards for you to be able to understand how I used to see and try to give a bigger error, I don't know, whatever, I think, yeah, that's it, margin, a bigger error margin at the beginning of my journey, just exactly for the same thing. Because at the beginning, as you are just trying to understand what to tweet about, what is your niche, you may have a lot of people reaching out to you or engaging with your content that 2 or 3 days after, perhaps they are not there anymore. Okay, but that's also the type of content that I try to see to double down on that. Okay, so I'll bring here some examples. So, and just to sum up here the power of analytics topic. So just to sum up here, so most of the common problems is that the bigger the number of impressions, the lower the conversion rate. Okay, and this is like normal, very normal. So don't be scary, because the higher the pool of people that you reach, naturally you will reach a ton of people that you don't necessarily care or are targeting for. And so that's quite normal. Okay, but there are a couple of things that you can do. And a problem that you can always be on top of your head is that perhaps your profile isn't attractive to convert people. Okay, so what can you do? Increase the quality, refine your bio, be more consistent, bring a new banner, change your colors, find a good newsletter, position your newsletter with the summary. Things like these helps you to increase your conversion rate. Okay, I used to have at the beginning 0.5% of conversion rate, and nowadays I have like perhaps like 40 to 50% of conversion rate. So if I have 1,000 people landing on my profile, I'll have perhaps 500 of them converting as new followers. Okay, so what is my mission nowadays is just to increase my funnel, so reach more people, create more content that can reach more people. Okay, so you have a high engagement per impression, but low profile clicks. Okay, what does this problem mean? This problem mean that your call to action isn't clear. So you have written something, but that person has engaged with that piece of content. Like you have written a thread, but that person and that person has engaged, or a couple of people have engaged with your thread, but almost nobody clicked on your profile. This is a problem. That means that there are even two problems here, but one is the easier. The easier is your call to action isn't clear. Okay, but there is another one, which may be like people didn't read your thread entirely. Okay, and so how can you work on that problem? So the first one is bring a clear CTA. Okay, and the clear CTA is like, thanks for reading this. I am Bernie. Every single week I write 1 to 2 threads. If you want more threads like this, then follow me here. Okay, and that's a typical CTA of mine. Let me share with you. So for example, this one once again. Okay, as you can see, I have 2 CTAs, okay, or more even. I have perhaps 3 CTAs. So this is the first one and the most important one, okay? So at least to me at this stage, there were moments that it was the same, but whatever. So that's it for today, friends. Follow me at Hey Bernie if you want to learn more about Twitter audience building, Web3 community building, Web3 projects, NFTs, and DAOs. This is the first CTA. And so people can just get here, click and follow me and leave the thread alone, okay? Or if they don't do that immediately, they have a second CTA. Want my content on your email? Then subscribe to my weekly newsletter, okay? And here on the newsletter, I have a brief description about what the newsletter is. So join 1,700 friends learning how to create content, build a community, and leverage Web3, okay? And so if they have clicked here, then they are now on another link. If they have ignored the first one and the second one, I still have a third one, okay? And the third one is, that's a wrap. If you enjoyed this thread, then follow me or retweet the tweet below. And just by retweeting, what I am asking them is, please make a referral, okay? So retweet is, please make a referral. If it is a quote tweet, is like, please leave a testimonial, okay? So this is how I use this kind of CTAs. And so when you have this kind of problem here, so high engagement per impression, but low profile click, it may be that your CTA, your call to action isn't clear. So make it clearer, or instead, write it more times to give people more times for them to convert, okay? Another thing is conversion rate. Conversion rate and lowest or low interaction, okay? So you have a high conversion rate, like a ton of people converts into followers, but almost no one interacts with you. And this is what we call like having a bullshit account, okay? Like I have 100K followers, but anytime I publish something, I have like 5 likes. Then you have a ghost type of account, or a zombie account, or a zombie audience. And what that means is that you have poor engagement, okay? So you haven't been working your relationships. You haven't been treating your followers well enough, okay? For them to understand that if they show up, you will show up too. If you show up, they may want, or they can show up because you will be there for them, okay? And this is most of the times the third type of problems, okay? And most people only have these kind of problems. So now about some tools, and Sonia, I'll come back to your question at the end, okay? Just to share these tools with you all. So the first one is TweetDeck, as I've showed already. Okay, so TweetDeck is, okay, so TweetDeck is this thing here. As you know already, you can create more columns. You can add different columns to understand what is going on, and you can have a better an overview or an holistic perspective on what is happening under your account. You can here also create different things. So each one of these are different accounts. So you can bring more things here. You can create lists. You can create collections, a bunch of different things, okay? So this is TweetDeck, and it is one of the best ways to use Twitter, okay? Because, for example, if you go here, you will see that under my notifications, I have here a bunch of different things. I have here dimensions. I have to be always on top of one and another one. And here on TweetDeck, I have a better perspective on everything that is going on. So the second one is Twitter Analytics, okay? And Twitter Analytics is the official analytics dashboard from Twitter. And the problem, so to me, it has a bunch of problems as Twitter overall, but whatever. So when you come to Twitter Analytics, this is where you start, okay? So you will always have tweet highlights, which are like your last tweets, a key summary with a couple of things on June. So we are on the 3rd June. So this is what happened over the last 3 days. This is like the top followers. So this is someone who followed me with 25.8K people. And it is, since the start of the month, the biggest person who followed me, okay? And here you have for May, the same thing. You have here, so every single month you have, okay? a bunch of different insights, but this is it in terms of insights, okay? From the Twitter Analytics platform, this is it. You also have here an insight for the last 28 days, okay? And you can change that here on another, let me just reduce here, and you can change these timelines here on tweets, okay? So when you come to tweets, you'll have these chart bar where you can have a bunch of different things and have a chart bar perspective on what has been happening since the last month, okay? So like your tweets earned, yeah, okay, so over the last 28 days, my tweets earned me 1.6 million impressions, and this was like the biggest moment, which I know already. Yes, okay, so, and you have here an average. So once again, if I have an average of impressions, almost 60K, and if I have calculated my percentage according to how much impressions per profile click I have, now I can assume how many people should have clicked on my profile, and from those, how many people should have converted into followers, okay? And this is now the funny thing. And by the way, you can export the data by tweet or by day. And I used to, at the beginning, I used to export my data, and I had like a huge Google Sheets, a Microsoft Excel that I used to work to create a bunch of different dashboards, etc., etc. Okay. Some last things that you can see here is like engagement rate. Once again, links clicked. So on average, how many links or how many clicks on the links I have. So for example, if I know I had 8.7K, and if I know that the only link that I had that I had there was my newsletter, I could assume that I had 8.7K people clicking on the link to my newsletter. Okay, in this case, it wasn't the case. So it was for this huge bump on this one. It was for the thread on Web3 YouTube channels. And so each YouTube channel, they were 23. So each one of them is a different link. So I know that already. Here you can see retweets without comments. And what you want is to have more retweets with comments than the opposite. You have here the likes, and then you have here the replies, okay? Replies is how many people have replied to your thread or tweet or made a comment, okay? Here you can find the top tweets. As you can see, they are filtered by impressions. Here you can find tweets and replies, okay? You can always have these different visions, okay? And then you have here the promoted. So I've never done anything promoted, so that's it. The cool thing here is that you can always go back in time, okay? And this is what I want to share with you. So, okay. So let me share with you my journey quickly. And so my journey, as you can see here, I didn't use Twitter at all, like lol, okay, as you can see. This was my Twitter. So I have Twitter since 2012, and for years that I didn't use Twitter. Like if I come here, you'll see like what it is, okay? The only tweets that you can see here these seem like huge spikes, but we are talking about 84 impressions. Nowadays, I have like 500,000. So yes, and this was an automation that I had to publish my YouTube videos. Okay, so all the things that you see here were an automation from Zapier sending my videos. And as you can see, I had 500 impressions over 91 days. Okay, so when I first came to Twitter, it was like in September. This was the week before I started to do something on Twitter. And this was the first time that I had a huge thing happening, which was a couple of questions that I started to do. And this was like my first thread. Okay, this is what 98% don't get about NFTs, not a conventional opinion, thread below. Lol. Yeah, so huge impressions, huge numbers. 52 impressions, total engagements 3. Okay, 1 reply. Lol. And so that's it. This was my first wannabe thread. Like 1 week after, if I come here, like 2 weeks after, I was already with 100K impressions, okay, over a 14-day period. This was huge. Like, I remember having jumped from like 54 followers to 100 followers or something like that, or 150 in 2 or 3 weeks. And why? Because I was constantly obsessing about how to reach people, and I was constantly pushing for other people's content. So as you can see here, I have something where I quote tweet Sean. Here I have something from Product Hunt. Here I have something for Mark Andreessen and Reid Hoffman, like lol. Here I had something else. Always doing these kind of things. Okay, here Nicholas Cole. Here is Dickie Bush, whatever. Okay. And why? Also because, just like all of you, the 13th was the first day that I was joining also a Twitter audience building kind of course, where I had like 10 people, and now those people, they started to jump on my stuff. Okay. And it's why suddenly I got 99K impressions. And the cool thing is that it was just the beginning of my journey. Okay, so if I come here and do these, okay, so 91 days. So as you can see, when I was zooming here, this seemed a ton, but nowadays it seemed like completely stalled. And as you can see, until October, it was almost stalled when compared with what was happening like a couple of weeks after. Okay, so here I had something reaching almost 750K, here 300K, here 670K, here 500,000, past 500,000, 200K, 320K, almost 300K. Okay, so this is the difference. Okay, and all of that. So as you can see, like this thread alone reached already 1.3 million people and got 4% of engagement rate, which is huge for such a big number in terms of impressions. Okay, the same happens with this one of NFTs, this one on Ethereum, these on DeFi, smart contracts, whatever. I know they have performed very badly, so whatever. But yes, so this is what happens when you are both consistent and also start or keep trying new things on how to attract more people. Okay, because for example, until the 1st November, the max that I got was 80K, and suddenly if I go to November and until the end of November, so in November, I got this one, the What the Fuck is Web3 series. It got me 750K already, okay? And so, yes, this is awesome for you to have a bunch of insights on what you are currently doing, whatever, okay? Like if I go now here, just in 60 days, I got 11 million impressions. So more people than Portugal, my country, saw my content, okay? Which means that naturally, if I have this amount of impressions and if I have like a 1% conversion rate, that means that I should have already like 100K followers. So you can see that it is not always the same thing, and there are always a bunch of people that are the same watching or seeing your content, so whatever. But this is just for you to have a first insight. So let's jump into another thing. Now, ilo.so, this is a very good tool for you to have in terms of analytics. So ILO, I used to use more ILO a couple of months ago. And so this is what it looks. You have here the streak in terms of 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, 90 days. And so what type of tweets do you have that perform better or worse? And by the way, the entire tool is built on top of Twitter API, so it means that there are a couple of things very misleading when comparing one tweet to the other one. But yes, so this is like an accumulated graph of my followers. And for example, here it is a bug, so not an accumulation. Okay, I didn't got 6,000 followers in one day. This is like November 22 and December 2nd. But yes, here, for example, is another one. And here is the amount of time that I didn't use ILO. So I stopped using ILO by this day on January, and I just subscribed already 2 days ago. Okay. And so you have here a bunch of different things. You can, for example, if you click here on one thread, one particular thread, you can see the impressions over time, okay, hour by hour, the engagement impression per impression, the type of engagements that you got, and in terms of hourly, what is the type of hour that works best for you, okay? This is ilo.seo. Another one is Hype Fury. This is what I use to work, to create my threads, to write my threads. Okay, so I come here on create, you click on create, start composing, you start composing something, you can go on full screen, whatever. A bunch of people also like Typefully, for example. I prefer Hype Fury. I think it is much more powerful. It can have multiple things in queue. You can even have recurrent posts, which means that you can schedule something to become a recurrent post. You can have multiple drafts. You can engage with multiple people. Like I can find someone, add them here and start engaging with them, find and filter everything under my mentions and reply directly. I have also analytics. Okay, once again, you can create evergreen tweets, which means that from time to time, Hype Fury will automatically post something. You can have a glimpse on some things that I've published already, like this is a history. You can have auto-plug metrics, which means if some of your tweets reach a certain number, you can do something automatically. You can run campaigns, whatever. So multiple things on top of Hype Fury, a very, very, very powerful tool. And it also allows you to automatically publish to Instagram, to LinkedIn, and other sources. Another one is Copy AI. So when I jump here to Copy AI, so Copy AI is an AI algorithm that can help you to find better ideas or to tweak your hook, okay? So you can come here if you want to, for example, where it is, writing tools, brainstorming tools, social media, here it is. So you can have here keyword generator and you write something and you will find a bunch of different keywords for a certain project. Okay, you can find, for example, a hook generator. Okay, and so you come here, you create the project, relevant website, or you skip this step, and now I can write here something, place the type of thing that I want, the tone, and generate a couple of ideas. Okay, and it will give you a bunch of different ideas for you about this hook, like alternatives. Another one is Tweet Hunter, and Tweet Hunter is a very, very, very good product. Tweet Hunter allows you to, first, they also have AI, but the kind of AI that they have is slightly different from Copy AI. So Copy AI is all things about copywriting. But when it comes here to Tweet Hunter, you can, for example, write here something, and they will find a bunch of different topics, like the best performing tweets and threads under this topic here, and you can immediately find a bunch of different ideas from which you can use. For example, if I wanted to use this one, I can just click edit and tweet, and now I can place here a different way of selling the same argument and tweet now or add to queue. Okay, you can also have queue, you have my analytics, also you can have the search, you have staff picks under different categories, which means that a bunch of people from their staff have been selecting some of the best tweets and threads, whatever. My collections is like you can create your own collection, Evergreen, once again, is content that you want to keep having and publishing. AI writer is like having an AI creating a bunch of different things for you, okay? And it will become more and more customized the more you use it. Threads ideas, once again, you can have multiple ideas here. You click on generate and it will generate a bunch of different thread ideas under different things, like most interesting ways to talk about Ethereum, 3 trends that will change the blockchain business model, whatever, okay? And all of these, as you can see, they are already catchy, and so you can use them. Thread starters is hooks. So once again, like Web3, you click here and you will create a bunch of different hooks, which helps a ton to get new ideas, okay? Another one is black magic. So lol. Yeah, okay. So black magic is when I come here on Twitter, if I close Treemax, you will see here this extension, which is black magic. Okay, and black magic is an extension. If I go into my profile, black magic will give me a bunch of different insights according to my profile. Okay, so for example, I can see the top interactions. Top interactions is the people who over the last 24 hours or 3 months have been interacting the most with me. Okay, and here I have a list of 50 people, and if I want, I can load more. I have now a list of 500 people, and I can make an export CSV, and if I want, I can DM each one of them or interact with them in a more personal matter. They bring us here a heat map according to our consistency, followers, and the projection of our growth according to our current rhythm. So according to Black Magic, I will reach the 33K more or less by September the 1st. Okay, some of the most engaging hours, types of impressions. But for example, if I click on a thread, Black Magic will give me different things, like who have been the percentage of people who interacted with my thread, who are followers, new, and strangers. And by the way, this is the type of mix that you want each time that you publish something. So as you can see, it's like 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. This is like a perfect, a bullseye kind of thread, okay? These are some of the biggest people who interacted with your thread, impactful engagements, once again, some of the metrics. So all of this is, once again, built on top of Twitter Analytics. So you can find all of these kind of things on Twitter Analytics, and they even give us more insights like these here, okay? And also you can schedule like a retweet, a reply, set reminders. You can save a particular tweet to different categories, which is awesome. For example, the bookmarks doesn't allow us to do that. Another one is Typefully. So Typefully, I know that some of you already know it, and Typefully, I don't necessarily like it. I only like because it's the cheaper one out there. But yes, they allow you to write threads to, you can add them to a queue. You can, for example, analyze the growth, and you can also have a small profile with some key things from what I can remember. Yes, I don't use Typefully for a bunch of time now, but yes, this is Typefully. Okay, you can start writing here something, you can publish, you can schedule, you can auto plug a retweet also. And the last one is Treemax. Treemax is like the best weapons out there. Treemax is this Chrome extension, once again, just like Black Magic. And the cool thing is that it allows you to, for example, find a profile, for example, Dicky Bush, and it will give you highlights or our conversations. If you filter for highlights on all time, you will have the best threads that Dicky Bush or whatever profile has ever published, which is awesome for you to find old content from someone. And if it is recent, you will find the best content, but recently, okay, which is a much better way to find interesting insights other than just going to someone's profile, okay? And this is a very good way for you to find different ideas on what to create content about, okay? If I go to our conversations, this is like every time I've mentioned or I've spoke with or commented on something from Dicky, okay? So friends, this is it for today. In terms of the homework, it will be for you to create at least one Twitter list and to try to come up with 3 to 5 Twitter threads. So you have here already a bunch of tools to help you to come up with 3 to 5 Twitter threads. And the goal is not for you to write all the Twitter threads. I really want you just to start having and building the mental model to find ideas. Okay. So now back to you. I'm very tired of having been speaking for almost 1 hour and a half. So yes, bring the questions.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have a question. I have like 1,000 questions, but there's
Yeah.
one in particular. No, there is just one in particular. So I come from startups, so your whole pirate funnel is very familiar to me. And the way I was about to organize my work for Twitter was a bit of a CRM, because I have a bit of an outbound and an inbound way of working. So people coming to me and people I'm reaching out to very intentionally.
Mm-hmm.
And for those ones, I was building a CRM, except
Okay.
I'm just realizing there's just so much. I have to sort out my lists like radically, because, you know, following whatever is happening and changing the status and having them in the funnel through the CRM is getting hectic. I was also preparing a sprint way to work, because sprints are a way to test stuff, say what works and not, and just throw them away and start new stuff to test. You can do this every week.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, what were your frameworks to organize the follow-up, you know, the moving
The post-mortem
to awareness until referral? And which is your framework to organize this and to follow up on this? Do you have any, or is this not the game? Maybe it's not the game when you're doing this Twitter growth.
I have nothing. Okay, so I've never done anything in particular regarding that aspect, because I started my Twitter journey with a very different lens when compared with yours. Okay, I think that perhaps in a couple of weeks I'll be able to give you some insights on CRMs and all of that, or some of that kind of processes, because I'm currently doing that to find investors and people that I really want to reach with Vinci. But once again, it's not necessarily a way to build an audience. What I try to do is, anytime that I reply to someone from a quote tweet, okay, let me perhaps share with you once again, because I think is a very good way for you to create momentum. It's like, if I jump here on my Twitter profile, you can see that I got almost 300 quote tweets here. Okay, and there was a moment that I just stopped talking to them or replying. But this is something that I try to do. Is like, I try to retweet something that they have, like they quote tweet my thread, and then I retweet something where I have something cool about the thing that I'm currently writing about, because it will appear on my timeline, but not just this one, but it will appear that Daniel Web3 said that this is the Web3 tweetable Bible. Okay, and so it's like having on your website a testimonial. Okay, and then I just jump here and say something like this, like, thanks for sharing my work, Daniel. Okay, sometimes I even place their links, like, thanks for sharing my work, Daniel. Here's my link to my newsletter in case you want to subscribe to it, to keep having or keep receiving, getting my content. Okay,
so
this is
post a thread on day 1 and you work on all of this on day 2, and then that's over for the thread work.
no. I always come back a couple of days after. Okay, so this is how I tend to do things. So I write the threads. I always publish 30 to 15 minutes before 3 p.m. here in Portugal, because it is the morning in New York and then San Francisco. I schedule on Blackmagic a retweet to 8 to 12 hours after, because it will be the end of the day in San Francisco and New York and the beginning of the day in India. Okay, and I go to bed like at midnight, and so the retweet is like at 2 to 3 a.m. here in Portugal. And anytime, every single day when I come back, I have a bunch of things to reply, which is awesome, because by replying people who they may have commented you a couple of hours ago, but just by replying now, you are bringing more people to the thread. And so the day after you publish a thread, it will still have some engagement, but not the same thing, okay? Like in 48 hours, a thread is completely dead. Like there is so much happening on Twitter that one day on Twitter is like a week, okay, on most platforms, not joking. And so after 48 hours, the thread is completely dead. But what I try to do is, let me give you here a bunch of examples. Okay, not this one, lol. Not here. Okay, so as you can see, this is a metric, this is a tactic that I used to use a ton. So you know what backlinks are, right? When you are building a website, if you want people to stay on your website longer, you have to have multiple backlinks, which means that you are linking people to other articles on your website. And I do exactly the same thing, but with my own threads. Okay, and this is how I can bring more people to past threads, and those threads sometimes they get new spikes. Okay, and this is, for example, an example of that. Okay, for example, the last week, I think last week I've done the same. I'm not sure, but highlights. I think here on this one from YouTube, I've done the same thing with. No, it wasn't with YouTube. It was this one. Yes. No. Yes, this one, I think. Yeah. 15 Twitter profiles, 10x your Twitter game. This was a very poor thread. I don't know what happened, whatever. But in the end, I think, yes. So want to read more of my content? Then here's my latest thread. I hope you like it. Okay. And since then, these got already like 200 plus likes since then. Okay, and I'm always doing this, always, constantly, every single week. If I publish 2 to 3 threads, at least one of them will have an older thread of mine as a backlink. Okay, and I used to, for example, I have here a couple of threads that I want to share with you all because they were from the beginning of my journey, where I used to share a bunch of different things. And as you can see, I have here, make content people love. And what is content people love? So here's a good thread. This was my first thread going viral, and I got something like 270 likes, 39,000 impressions. And this was my first viral thread. Yes, so here's another one, okay? And I always do that. Let me know if it helps in any way, Sonia.
Yeah, it does, because I feel like there's a whole process to build. Because it can feel very overwhelming. And, you know, I was playing this weekend, lots of notifications came in. And you feel like, oh shit, what am I supposed to do that? And you feel like you're losing the priority. At least I was feeling like I was losing the priorities. That's why I was working on the process to stick with. And I want to be able to have tools and process to stick with, so I just know what to do when, maximum situations. So hence my question. Thank you very much.
Yes, and at the moment where you are, you should focus on always build more engagement, more engagement, more engagement. Okay, so don't focus that much on the quality of what you create. Instead, try to keep creating, because quality will come eventually, and try to build that engagement. Like I remember I had to keep tweeting for 2 entire weeks with no new followers, with nobody following me back for 2 to 3 weeks. And just because I joined the cohort course about Twitter audience building, and I got a bunch of people following me from there, like a bunch of people, like 3 people or 4. Okay, I started to see more engagement, and that helped me to keep working. Okay, and here with you all happens exactly the same thing. So, Sonia, do you have any other question?
No, thank you. I'm okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
So let me jump immediately to your profile where I am currently. Okay. So you have 200 tweets. That's good. Sonia Litwin. Hi, creators. I write about how you can grow a personal business beyond content. Okay. I think this is cool, to be honest. Is this your color palette? Is this green, blue? Okay.
Yeah.
So Repeat tech founder building a decentralized creator network, tweets about growing creator revenue, Web3 for creators. Bisous. J'adore ce portmanteau. C'est là ici.
I'm sorry, I hate when it feels so serious.
Yes. yes.
Man, the joke.
So repeat tech founder. I think this is awesome, but unless you want to give us more context about this means nothing in particular. So unless you want to say something like, I've built this, and that, and link to your previous Twitter accounts from those companies, I think that would help, whatever the number of followers, whatever the type of business is. But if you don't want to do that, what I try to do is something like, I've built or I've grown a company from here to here. I've built this or that, okay? I've built 3 companies, okay, and sold. That's it. And being able to build something and sell something, whatever the amount of money, whatever the fame or whatever, that's already a very strong credibility factor, okay? Building a decentralized creator network, I'm not necessarily sure of what does this mean, okay? What I think could be better is like building for Web3 creators, or building a decentralized, decentralized tools for creators in Web3. I don't know. So perhaps play along with these words, just because building a decentralized creator network, it seems like LinkedIn at first. Is it Pinterest? What is it? What type of creator network is it? Okay, so just give more context if you want to, or instead use some acronyms like Web3 and things like those. Tweets about growing creator revenue, Web3 for creators. Okay, this is very strong. Okay, I really like this one. So,
you know, I'm struggling with this Web3 everywhere, because it becomes just something everybody says, everybody does. And if you're building a Web3 product, honestly, you know, if you do decentralized or tokenized, I could use tokenized, it looks more specific, and it's
tokenized, for example, is much better than just building a decentralized creator network. Okay, because building a decentralized creator network means absolutely nothing. Like, okay, what is a network? It can be like 3 friends with PCs connected through LAN. By, you know, like, what is the decentralized creator network here? So building a tokenized membership NFT based platform for creators is something that people can actually see. I don't know if I'm being do you mean what I tried to say?
Yeah, I see what you mean, because you have the word network, and so to you, decentralized doesn't mean anything. For me, it's a technical word.
No. Decentralized, it means a ton, but I think that you can bring more specification to the decentralized, just because in Web3, everything is about decentralization. So saying, yes, okay, but what I say is that the topic beneath Web3 and all of that, whatever it is nowadays or the future.
Tokenized work. Yeah, tokenized is working.
Tokenized, I think
too much.
Okay. Regarding the Web3, and I understand what you say, but using Web3 is like the companies between 99, 2000, 2001, when they used to use the .com, like pet company, 2 days after is pet.com or petcom, whatever, just to see more, whatever.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, use it as you want. If not, that's it.
No, I feel like, you know, this Web3 thing is like the community thing. It's like, it's these words that everybody's using and nobody knows what it means any longer. So I was a bit hesitating. Web3 for creators is a subsegment of Web3. And I feel like there is something a bit specific, because creators are not so much into Web3 yet.
Yes. So you can use, for example, the verb that I used to use, bringing creators to Web3.
Okay.
You feel free to use it. Bringing creators to Web3. And I think it has an action verb. It helps people understand that you are doing something and you are focused on creators and doing what? Bringing them to Web3. Why? Because most creators are not in Web3 right now. So, yeah. So, Farouk, let's jump into your profile. And by the way, Sonia, I think that I don't know who you follow. I don't know how intentional are the people that you currently follow, what I would say is perhaps you can filter some of the people there. I have no idea.
I did
Another
already.
thing, okay. Another thing, for example, is I see you have here a Substack. Okay. What I'd say is try to use Review. Okay. Review is, yeah. Do you know Review?
Yeah.
Okay. So try to use Review. And if not, you have what is called, it's not Behave. Behave is another platform, but they have something that allows you to have, where is it? Sorry. Right, grow, monetize, drops. I don't remember. I can remember. I'll bring that to you, which is a tool that allows you to integrate Review and send your subscribers to your Substack or whatever newsletter you have. Why? Because this way you are creating an obstacle, and the obstacle is I have to leave Twitter to subscribe to your newsletter. You know, you are increasing friction. When you come here, you just have to click on start reading and click once again, and you are subscribed. And so, yes, it can help you convert more people and give more credibility to your profile. Okay. Yes, Farouk, now on you.
Hey, one question before you go there, Bernie. You talked about retweets 12 hours later, 15 hours later, whatever have you. Do you retweet the exact thread?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So no comments added, nothing at all. It's just
nothing.
If I saw your timeline, I will see the same thread 12 hours earlier and 12 hours later, something like that.
Yep, exactly. Yes. And if you click on if you turn on the notifications, you will get exactly the same thing.
Got
like, let me try to find something. Yeah, forget about it. But basically what I do is like, let me just, so basically I come here to Blackmagic, nothing here yet, obviously. So I come here to Blackmagic, schedule a retweet. And as you can see, I have here different things, and I can, for example, schedule a retweet for 6:46 a.m. tomorrow. Okay. Or instead schedule multiple retweets, and I have multiple retweets for 12 hours, 36 hours, and 4 days. Okay. Yeah, this is a very powerful tool. Okay. So any other question? Do you want me to jump into your profile?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so great. Okay, first of all, I really like your banner. It has nothing there, so I don't know if you want to write something on top of this, but I really like your banner. I don't know why, but it gives me some groove on the type of person that I may find here, okay? Yes, so your Twitter profile, I think it is not necessarily aligned with the type of banner that you have, okay? So I think your Twitter profile is much more, but this is just my opinion, okay? So leave it if you want to. But I think that your banner takes me into the future, like innovation technology, and your Twitter profile takes me into something more formal. Yeah, not necessarily back, but something more formal. So think if you want to have something like take out the background, whatever. Repeat Web2 founder and angel investor, now building Web3 company, simplifying Bitcoin stacks and graph concepts, graph advocate, authored books, etc. PhD. Okay, so okay, so once again, so repeat Web2 founder and angel investor. Okay, I think once again, just like I said, Sonia, if you could have something here stating what makes you a repeat Web2 founder, like I've built this and that, or I've built this company, sold here, or I've built and like I've hired this amount of people, I've built this whatever type of company, and angel investor, I think is very much better. Now building Web3 companies. So this doesn't mean a lot, because I believe that unless you are Elon Musk, most people only focus on building one company at a time, or two at a time. So I don't know if you want, for example, to specify the type of vertical that you are currently building for, or if you can, for example, mention the company that you are currently building, simplifying Bitcoin stacks and graph concepts. So this is very technical. Okay, not necessarily. So Bitcoin stacks is not necessarily technical, but being someone who talks about graph concepts and the graph advocate is already something much more technical and deeper. So I think these are very good keywords. I don't know if you can use any hashtag. So if you can find an hashtag from a certain community or something that people use on these communities, that would be better. Authored books, PhD. So in terms of authored books, what are some of your books? You could, for example, have here a link like author and have the link, okay? Or multiple links or a number like authored 7 books on something, okay? I've written these 7 books on this certain topic, okay? PhD, I think that, okay, you can have here your PhD, or instead you can have your PhD about what? So for people to understand that you know what the hell you are saying or talking about. But if your PhD is about agronomy, or I don't know, something like fashion, let's assume, or the impact of marketing in fashion, I have no idea. And you are now writing about blockchain, I don't know how to relate those, okay? So once again, the PhD means for you what Deloitte meant for me, which means that I'm not stupid. You are not stupid because you have a PhD, at least at first, obviously. But yes, so I think that if you could give more detail about your PhD, that would be better. Okay. Once again, the same type of thing that I said to Sonia, try to integrate here review, because it will help you to convert more people into your current Substack. Okay.
2 questions about that, man. Can I?
Yeah.
One is, let's start with review. With review, do you get access to the email list of people that subscribe? I have not tried review.
Yes, okay. Let me show you. So I am currently using review. I'm jumping to Behave. Okay. So when you come here, for example, you have a list of the subscribers, okay? And you have how much time ago they have subscribed, all the issues that you have written already, if you want to create something naturally, and insights, okay? So the overall engagement, growth, and performance, okay?
Then the second question was about the various things that you said, good things, but the only problem I think is Twitter allows you 160 characters in the profile. So need to figure out what to cut and what not to highlight.
Yes, like, okay.
Yeah.
So that's why using emojis is much better, okay? Or instead trying to sum up something like this. So the Web3 community guy, this is how I am trying currently to position myself. So people know that when it comes to Web3 community building, I want to become the guy to go to, okay? I'll help you build your Web3 community, which reinforces the first thing, building Vinci DAO. This is how I am currently saying you and Sonia to mention something. Web3 community building is like the keyword that I want to be found for, while I have to give here a small trick. And once again, format Deloitte. That's it. Okay. Yeah, so you can use, for example, I think that it is Harsh. Give me 2 seconds. I think it is Harsh. No, I don't really remember, but I know a bunch of people who have like different emojis. Let me see if it is Zenuka. Also not. So, but a bunch of people have here a bunch of emojis, like a small list, you know. So for example, in your case, the PhD, you can represent with the emoji of the head, the thing that people in the end of a degree use. Yes, and other things like those. Okay.
Got it. Okay. And do you think, going back to the profile image behind, adding some stuff like I can remove the simplifying Bitcoin stacks and graph, but just write it there, or does it make it cluttered, that image? And your opinion?
Sorry, can you repeat, Farouk?
You have the image of the Bitcoin and the stacks. Those are the those are the symbols for that. But should I write something there, simplifying Bitcoin stacks and graph concept, so that I can get some extra letters in the profile, or should I just leave that image there clean, like as it is now?
No, you can leave it as it is right now, as clean. And in a couple of weeks, you can change to something else and see if there are any changes. Okay. When it comes to simplifying, I don't necessarily love that word. I prefer, for example, deconstructing, because deconstructing is more visual. It seems that you are building something with Lego, you know? Yes.
But yeah, I'll use
just
it.
a suggestion.
Yeah, I will change all that.
Okay. So who else is here that you're welcome. Okay, so I don't know if everybody left. Yes, we had like Christian and other people here, but yes, the class today is so long, so
Tita.
yes.
Tita is here.
Yeah, Tita, I don't know if you want me to jump into your profile.
Hi, you can jump if you want. I made the changes. I don't know if I'm happy with that, but you can jump.
What is your profile, please? Hella?
Tita Hella, _Hella, yes.
Tita Hella.
Hey, Bernie, I need to step off. This is being recorded. But thank you again.
Don't worry.
And see you on Monday. Oh, we have the Twitter Spaces on Sunday this week?
I'm not sure yet, Farouk. Okay, because I was considering making it today, but I had the problem 2 days ago.
I understand.
Yes. Okay.
Just let us know in the Discord channel.
Okay. Yes, I will.
Have a nice weekend, all of you. Bye.
You too, my man. From Instagram to Twitter, growth and marketing strategist, sharing my journey learning about Web3, especially NFT collections. Okay, so from Instagram to Twitter. So this isn't necessary, okay? Unless you have like 1 million followers on Instagram, I don't think this is necessary, okay? So for example, if I give you an example on Ali Abdaal, Ali Abdaal has a huge following on YouTube, and he has YouTuber plus podcaster, ex-doctor, soon to be author. Okay, but there was a time that he had something like 3 million plus YouTube channel. Okay, so that makes sense to drive people into that network. Also, if not here, it gives you nothing. You are just losing some characters. Growth and marketing strategies is a very good topic. Sharing my journey learning about Web3. So this is just a slight improvement. Sharing my learning journey, okay, or sharing my Web3 learning journey. Okay, and suddenly you can cut the about, because sharing my journey learning about, it seems like a break. So just especially NFT collections, I would say I would put another bullet point like this one, and I would say something like passionate about NFT collections, and I would use the hashtag sign on NFTs. Okay, so passionate about hashtag NFTs space collections. And you can even, for example, identify 1 or 2 collections that you love. Okay, like space bullet point space love, for example, Crypto Covenant Nouns DAO. Okay, and those are 2 projects that people who follow NFTs can immediately see that you also love them, and so there is something that they can use to start talking with you. Okay. Yeah, so I think that's it. In terms of your banner, I really like your profile picture. I think it's very like a very strong and good. In terms of your banner, I think you can use bigger letters. Okay. Hi, I'm Tita. Stay here if you want to learn about marketing growth. Okay. Yes.
In your computer, it appears smaller than on mine, but yeah.
Okay.
I will try to make it bigger.
Yeah. So so hi, I'm Tita. Stay here if you want to learn about marketing growth, NFT market. Yes, okay, if these are the topics that you want to write about, I think this is cool.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so friends, I see that no one else is here, so unless you have any other question, I think for today that's it. Everybody has left already, so once again, I'll upload as usual our content. Sorry for today's lesson for being so big, but yes.
It was awesome.
And thank you, Sonia.
No, it was really cool because it's very practical. No, now that nobody's here, so we can talk. So,
Yeah.
No, nobody's waiting. No, because it was really practical. And I feel like, of course, we have to organize ourselves, but it's something super actionable. So we go into the
yes, exactly, into the
heart
trenches
of the process. I feel like, I went into this challenge because I'm not sure this is something we can do in the group, but I feel like we need feedback on the sprints, on the weekly sprints where we are implementing. So
that's exactly why I've created the challenge, is to bring the people from the bootcamp and to make them go through something all together and to keep having feedback and build relationships.
And to have this weekly way of delivery, experimenting is, I feel, a very nice thing to have. So everything is going into the super direction. So thank you.
Yeah, and welcome. You're welcome, and thank you very much for your feedback. Yes. So see you. Good weekend. Have a great weekend.
Monday?
Not good. Great weekend.
Great.
And see you Monday.
Don't forget to sleep, because I can see what time you post.
Yes. Yes. By the way, where are you? I remember. Is it France?
No, yes, I'm in Paris.
Paris. Okay. Yeah. So Paris is just one hour more.
Yeah, yes. I'm perfect for this class because I'm just aligned on I'm not in the middle of a working day, and I'm the end of the working day, but I'm not in bed yet. So.
Yes, exactly. Yes, but by the way, something that I am starting to do is to schedule tweets. So sometimes you may see me tweeting at like 5 a.m. and I'm not awake. Okay. But yes, until 3 a.m. Until 3 a.m. most of the times it is me that writes and publishes. But I'm trying to.
I might tease you.
Yeah. Okay. Don't worry. Okay. So have a great weekend.
Thank you.
And let me know if you need anything. Okay.
Okay, I might Discord you if I have, because I'm struggling with this profile thing, but I'll Discord you if I.
Yeah, don't worry. Okay. And by the way, don't obsess over it. Okay, just keep doing, keep iterating, and in 60 days, I believe you will have great results. By the end of the challenge, I believe you will have great results.
Okay, thank you very much.
Bye bye, Sonia.
Bye,
bye,
everyone.
Tito.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.